I don't know. When you spend a bit of time checking out the dating scene in Nairobi, you actually sort of realize that both sides are equally frustrated, but it's for very different reasons. And weirdly enough, if you actually look at those reasons that are different on both ends, on a very general level, it's practically frustrations about the same thing. It's the fact that the other side isn't doing or being something that they're expected to be. While on their end, they're being a little bit too much of what they probably aren't expected to be that much of. And I will kind of get into that in a little bit, or at least I will for the guys. But before I do that, why are my manners? Welcome to Breakdown on West Side, your number one breakdown podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. This is the raw, shortened version that I like to do in between the season breaks that I usually like to call Raw Zone, but I seem to be ditching most of these names of late, so I might just kill the name altogether. But the long and short of it is that I do keep the episodes particularly raw, very minimal editing, no background music, just me addressing the main topic from top to bottom and nothing else within. And it's a much shortened episode as a result. Now, I have a clip that I want us to listen to for a little bit before I get into it because it details a struggle that some people may be going through in, their quest to get a good partner. And, this whole struggle of trying to find someone good. And, one of the things that might be affecting it quite a bit. Now, this was a clip that was taken from a dating podcast in the US of A called Tonight's Conversation. And even though I know the dating dynamics can be different in different places, I feel like this is something that affects us as Kenyans, or at least affects me as a Kenyan in the Kenyan dating market, and it might affect you as well. But let me not talk too much about it. Let me just have the clip play on. So here it is.
If you're not meeting the technical requirements, it don't matter if you're a good person, cuz. Like, don't nobody care that a man is a good person if he broke. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody care if a man is a good person if he can't fight. Don't nobody care if a man is a good, all that comes after you meet the technical requirements. That gets stressful, bro. It wears on us, you feel me? Again, I'll be hearing that it's about other shit, but be honest, bro. It's about that after we meet the technical terms. And that is really starting to eat away at us, bro. Suicide amongst black boys, amongst black men is rising. You know what I'm saying? And it's from carrying the weight of this thing that we taught not to complain about. And many of us never will.
That's a
fact. We'll carry it to the grave, bro. We'll grind ourselves right the fuck away to meet that standard of manhood.
But I think it's a responsibility still, though.
But it's a toxic standard that was set by you guys. So I guess the next step is.
Whoa.
I didn't lie. Women didn't set the standard.
Let's pause. I am a black man. I subscribe. I did not set.
Okay, I did
not build the standard.
Right.
I build no system. The most I can do is subscribe.
Right. But you subscribing, how can you change your subscription?
What, again, before you put this all on men, what do women still expect us to be?
Okay, now I'm gonna admit, when I heard what the guy was saying, it kind of really hit me in the chest because I felt like it resonated with a lot of us, or at least it resonates with me and my understanding of the Kenyan dating market, even though it's taken from the context of the American market, or at least, the dating situation in the particular place where these guys stay. Because I know the dating situation in different parts of America is different and everything. But that's sort of besides the point. Now, first question, was what the guy said particularly true? Or at least in my context, was it particularly true? Now, to be quite honest, yes. It actually felt very, very true because not only have I seen the whole technical requirements thing actually sort of play out in real life, hell, even in front of me, and I have also been a participant to it in a certain way, but also the effects of it do kind of resonate with me as well. Of course, it's not like, there's increased crime and suicide because guys are trying to get babes and everything, but I have seen how guys have gotten whenever it comes to girls, where it's like, oh, you want to go hit on this babe, then you're like, but I don't have money to sort of satisfy her, or I don't think I make enough for us to be together and shit. I hear that quite a bit, and I hear guys busy talking about, forget the money, just go and chase the babe. Something that I don't entirely believe that every single guy should think of, because there's some guys that actually do particularly well for themselves, but it is something that I see a lot of guys resonate whenever they're talking about them and dating a babe. Like, they believe that they need to make all of this money, which kind of does bleed into the whole dating scene, dating situation in Nairobi, where guys pretty much do not feel like they match up, not unless if they're either blowing a lot of money or they look like they have a lot of money. And they do it not the way people in the States or the UK probably might do it, but they will try to, do the whole thing of chafua meza. So, they make sure that they have a lot of drinks. And if they have even more money than that, most of those drinks will be expensive drinks. And they're hoping that that's what will attract the babes, or they can go and hit on a babe. And, they will try to sort of show their love by blowing a certain amount of money on them, particularly during social events and shit. And it is something that you see happen quite a lot. And at that time, when you're at the event, when you're in the social setting or the club or something, you're thinking, it's probably not reminiscent of everyone. And, it's not like every babe just feels like a guy has to blow stack on them and shit like that. Then you go ahead and you open Kenyan social media and you're bombarded with roughly about the same shit. It's a lot of guys telling other guys that they need to have money so that they can get certain babes. And it's a lot of babes pretty much, substantiating that information by saying that they don't want to be approached by broke guys, or why do broke guys really approach them, or just expressing the fact that they want the soft life and they do not want a life with struggle, so you should not approach them, not unless if you're doing particularly well for yourself. And at that point in time, if you haven't felt pressure as a guy to go out there and make money just so you can get a babe, then normally after going through both of those simultaneously, or at least going through both of those one after the other, you pretty much feel that sort of pressure just hit you. And these are young guys that are out here in the streets that are just trying to make it and get at least a good amount of cash so that they can live a bit of a good life. Because guys usually have responsibilities and everything, and black tax and so on. But they look at it and they're like, I need to make money. So now, guys suddenly feel like they're under pressure, where it's like you have to make money for you to actually start pulling in really nice babes, or just babes in general. And as such, you find that guys will practically just focus on that particular thing because they feel the pressure from the financial side, which they haven't particularly gotten up, even though the reality of it is you need more than just the money to pull the babes. Not unless if you're trying to look for the low quality, very shallow ones that just want you to blow money on them and, they might give you pussy. For the most part, you need to do more than just that. And all of a sudden, you're finding that the guys that have put in the work and they have managed to get the money, or even the guys that seem to be making fairly good money and are going for the babes, are using nothing but the money. Because there's not much substance besides them trying to pull in the money and them utilizing that money to try and pull the babe. Because if you check with a lot of Kenyan guys, it's not like you find that they're particularly great with fashion. Actually, to a certain degree, I feel like for some of those guys, they feel like you paying attention to fashion and you looking a certain fashionable way is either you being gay or you not being masculine enough, or just you plain outrightly doing too much, which, depending on how you choose to do your fashion can be questioned, but for the most part, it's not like they'll pay attention to their looks. So as long as they have the sleeveless puffer jacket and, maybe a nice t-shirt, maybe some cool shorts or jeans and pretty nice sneakers, they think they're pretty okay. And there's not that much effort that's put beyond that. So you can clearly see that they don't care too much for the sake of fashion and shit. But even though that was ignorable, on a mental level, there's not that much that so many guys actually have to offer. Because when you kind of look at it, besides your professional experience, the social shit that you do, which is mostly sports and maybe talking about, babes and relationships, and maybe politics, if you're really into that sort of thing, most guys don't have that much substance within them. There's no special studying of anything. There's no deeper knowledge in other topics. So if anything, it's not like dude is going to try and show that he's smart, not unless if he's giving details about the kind of work that he does, or he's talking about his profession or the work that he does or the business that he does with people of pretty much the same caliber. So there's not that much substance there. And all of a sudden, you find that there's a lot of babes that are like, oh, Kenyan men are boring and they're all the same and they don't do this and they don't do that. And in as much as I can say, okay, but here's this and this that you guys don't live up to, at the same time, there's not that much to defend a lot of Kenyan guys. And as usual, there's someone who'll be like, but whose fault is that? And it does kind of remind me of the question that the babe on the clip had asked, which was, but wasn't this standard set by you guys and shit, so shouldn't you change it? And to be very honest, and this one goes even beyond Kenyan men, like, we as men haven't really set much of a standard when it comes to sex and dating for eons. Like, we only recently got into the game, and I think the only standard that we've set in dating is don't turn a hoe into a housewife. I think that's the only standard that guys have pretty much set and are sort of living by. But besides that, it's not like us guys are setting any standards. So it's mostly the babes, because for the longest time, you needed to get into a relationship to get sex, and for you to get a babe to get into a relationship to have sex with, you needed to go and court the babes. So a lot of guys were practically starting out on their knees, or, pretty much trying to get on their knees just so that they can get sex from the babe. And practically, the fact that the babes have reduced the barriers to entry when it comes to sex, and they've toyed around with a couple of barriers here and there, to the point where it's like, as long as you have money, you can pull quite a number of babes, I would say is mostly the babes' fault. Although, to kind of conclude all of this, I just wanted to say that as Kenyan men, or even as men in general, I think we need to be more than just our profession and the sports we watch and the gossip that we have out here in the streets. I think we need to be more than that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you need to, all go out there and become poets and shit, or philosophers, but at least try and read up on shit that's beyond your own. Because at the end of the day, we can't all just be a full-on uniform version of just technical requirements. We need to be more than that. And I think for us to do that, we need to go beyond the scope of whatever it is that we need to do to pull the babes that we want to get. And sometimes that involves you going beyond what it is that you normally do on a day-to-day. Although, then again, maybe I am wrong about this entire thing and I have zero understanding, so I want your thoughts on it. The DMs are open on IG, on Facebook. It is at Breaktime on Westside. On Twitter, it is at Bagaka the D. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.